Merry meet and welcome to Psalmic Saturday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga and we are streaming live on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm so happy to be here today and I hope you're having a fabulous day. Moderating today on YouTube is the lovely Honeypaw and moderating on Twitch is the lovely Dre. Thank you so much, moderators, and thanks to all of you for joining us for this Psalm spell today. We do have a premiere at 11 a.m. Pacific time, which is just a few minutes more than, maybe what is it, about 42 minutes from now. So I hope that you join us. It's real easy to find the premiere if you just hang out on this stream until the end of the exit music. It'll take you right to the link, so you don't have to go hunting for it, if you prefer. We are here every Saturday doing a psalm spell, and we're actually here Wednesday through Sunday doing some sort of magic stream or another at 10:15 a.m. Pacific time. I hope you can come back tomorrow. We're going to have a live stream lecture. That's called Soulful Sunday, so I hope that you can join us for that. We are off on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then we'll be back with a spell of some sort on Wednesday for Witchy Wednesday. So also we are in the midst of our Kabbalah course. That's on Thursday. We're just still gearing up. We've had a few weeks of theory, but now we're gearing up to do some more practical Kabbalah work. And then on Fridays, we have our Witches Rosary. So I hope you can join us every single magic stream. Our website is located at arielscorner.com. arielscorner.com. You'll notice in the footer of every page of our website, you can find a place to sign up for our emails. And also there's a list of our social media links. Two of those links might be interesting for you if you're not already a part of them. One is our private Facebook group, and the other is our Discord server. And we'd love to have you there so that you can be part of our discussions, etc. If you'd like to follow along with the psalm today, we are working on Psalm 101. And I hope did I put that in there? I'm not sure if I did. I'm not sure if I did the right one, but we're doing Psalm 101. And let me just make sure. Or do I? Oh, no, it's Psalm 107. Shoot. Let me just fix that. Psalm 101. And so you can find the online Witches Psalter. I don't think it's going to, I don't know. Anyway, you can find our online Witches Psalter on our website, arielscorner.com. arielscorner.com, just click on the Psalm Magic drop-down list, and you'll see our Witches Psalter. You can find Psalm 101 lickety-split if you'd like to follow along with us. So I guess that should do it for announcements. Let's get going. It's not a real long psalm, but that way if you have any questions, I can take questions at the end. You can just put your questions right in the chat thread wherever you happen to be. If you're on Twitch or if you're on YouTube, each of those have chat threads. So you can put any questions. And plus you can just chat amongst yourselves. You're not disrupting anything if you're chatting. So chat to your heart's content. Just one moment, please. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Today we are working Psalm 101. In traditional psalm magic, Psalm 101 is frequently used to break any harmful habit, for protection against evil plots, and to vanquish evil spirits. I would today like to use Psalm 101 for general protection, whatever kind of protection you need, whether that's physical, mental, psychic, whatever it is, to feel safe and protected by the love of the universe. The way we work psalm magic is very simple and effective. We take the psalm in question and we recite it out loud once all the way through without stopping. This is called an incantation. Once we've finished with that incantation, we take that same psalm and we go through it verse by verse, and we dig for hidden occult meanings behind each and every verse. Those we call magic seeds, those hidden occult meanings. And it doesn't matter how good you think you are at it. You just do your very best. Because what you do is you take whatever it is that you've brought to the psalm and you try to apply what you find in the psalm to whatever the situation is at hand. And the work that you do is actually taking those magic seeds and planting them deeply in the fertile grounds of your mind, where they take root, they blossom forth, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that is exactly what you and I are going to do together right now with Psalm 101. I will sing of mercy and judgment. Unto thee, O Lord, will I sing. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. O when wilt thou come unto me? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. A froward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person. Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that hath an high look and a proud heart will I not suffer. Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell within me. He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell within mine house. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell within my house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in my sight. I will early destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all the wicked doers from the city of the Lord. Some people say that this is a king that is speaking, in which case it probably might be a psalm that deserves to be in the collection of the inheritance psalms, but it's not included in the traditional inheritance psalms. I find it very interesting, this psalm, because it starts off with, I will sing of mercy and judgment. Unto thee, O Lord, will I sing. So it's definitely somebody talking to God. And if it's not the traditional psalmist, and it is a king, I find that to be rather interesting, because to me, this whole psalm sounds transactional. And I'll tell you in a minute where I find that to be and why I think that's interesting. So anyway, it starts out, I will sing of mercy and judgment. Unto thee, O Lord, will I sing. So in psalm magic, the symbol of singing is a way of creating change. The singing is vibration that creates a general disturbance in the atmosphere. It changes the way things are. And so we are being very clear here that in order for us to get any kind of a response, we have to be the ones to initiate it. So we have to create that disturbance in the air so that we can create our own opening to receive whatever it is that we're asking for. And this is a psalm that uses the tetragrammaton to address the Lord. Remember, the Lord is not a deity in the traditional sense of the word when we work psalm magic. It's describing the force that is the source of all that is. It's a pre-gender force, so it's not a father, it's not a mother, it's not a personality. It is the pure creative force out of which all things are created in the moment. I will sing of mercy and judgment. So the disturbance that we are creating is that of mercy and judgment. So that tells us that when we are singing of mercy and judgment, we're trying to break up thought forms which are antithetical to mercy and judgment. In this case, we've said, I want to be protected. So a lot of times when we are asking for protection, we are perceiving some sort of threat. We're perceiving ourselves as somehow being vulnerable. And so our first thought here is to create a disturbance in that thought form of vulnerability. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. O when wilt thou come unto me? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. This is where I'm getting a transactional kind of energy, transactional energy from this psalm, because that second line in verse number 2, oh, when wilt thou come unto me? I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Are you coming? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, right? So I'm going to do all of these things because I want you, Lord, to come unto me. It's important for us to recognize that transactional nature, because that's something that we have to look at within ourselves, to believe that we have to somehow do something to make ourselves worthy of being helped by the infinite. So this whole psalm is a lesson that we can do all of these things, and we're going to go through all of these things that we're promising ourselves that we're going to do, and they're all wonderful things, but none of that is necessary in order for us to receive the help that we're asking for. We can receive the help that we're asking for and then do all of these things that we want to do because those are just the right thing to do, but not because the infinite's help is contingent upon anything that we do. All we have to do is receive the help that we're asking for. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. The only way that you can have perfection is not because you're trying to do something yourself. The only way that you can be perfect is to be yourself. To behave wisely and in a perfect way ultimately isn't because I'm going to quit smoking, and then I'm going to quit red meat, and I'm going, those kinds of things. You can't create the perfect way yourself. You have to allow yourself to recognize the perfection within you. And then those other things just become, if they are reflections of your perfection, they just start becoming normal. It's just, well, of course I'm going to do this. Of course I'm going to do that. It just becomes normal. And we have to reorient ourselves when we're working this psalm and to recognize that we don't have to do anything in order to be perfect, because we already were created perfect. And that's where we are missing the mark. And the reason why we're feeling so vulnerable is because we believe that we're vulnerable. We were not created to be vulnerable. We were not created to be vulnerable, and we were not created to be victimized. We were created to be all-powerful, just like God itself, just like this force. We are an extension of this force. Therefore, we have all the same creative powers. We have all the same essential qualities. But what happens is we have extra stuff that we've picked up along the way. We call that the ego mind. We have extra stuff that we've piled on top of ourselves, which makes us not understand who we really are. And therefore, we live a life based on the creative power of our mind that tells us that we're vulnerable, that tells us that we're not safe. And all of that miscreation comes from our misunderstanding that there's no way we could be unsafe. There's no way that we could be vulnerable. So it's very important to orient ourselves properly before we go through the rest of this psalm, because you don't want to get caught in the rabbit hole of saying, if I do this, then I'll get the help. If I do that, then I can get the help. If I do this, then I'll be safe. No, you've got to come from the point of view of, I was created perfect, I am safe, and I'm claiming that, and therefore I'm going to do these things. I walk within my house with a perfect heart. A perfect heart is, remember, your heart is your deep mind. So all of that, what that's saying is, if your deep mind is in alignment only with the truth about your soul, and it doesn't have any of these nefarious beliefs from the ego that we've picked up along the way, then your external experiences, your so-called external, your physical experiences, and all of your relationships within the realm of form will reflect that. And you won't have anything to be afraid of, and nothing can harm you, and nothing but good can happen to you, because it's set up that way, because the deep mind is only producing results based on the truth. I will set no wicked thing before mine eye. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. So when you say you will set no wicked thing before your eyes, you're teaching yourself what projection is. If you see it, we think I see something and then I react to it. We think I see something and then I think about it. But in reality, I think about it and then I see it. We project it and then we react to it. So you're not going to project any wicked thing. You're not going to participate in that whole ego game of projecting problems and then interacting with the problems as though you're victimized by them. You're not going to do that anymore. You're going to recognize that your deep mind has the ability to create any kind of circumstance imaginable. And now if you're, what did it say? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. A perfect heart means that the only thing that my deep mind holds are the thoughts that the infinite has for me, the truth of who I am. Therefore, I won't set any wicked thing before my eyes because I won't be projecting anything other than perfection. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. To hate something in the Psalms means to turn away from it. So you're going to turn away from, it's saying them that turn aside, but you're going to turn away from the tendency to think that you're imperfect, from the tendency to think that you're guilty. That's what happens as we have this sickness in our mind that is attracted to feeling bad, attracted to guilt, attracted to problems, attracted to evidence that claims that we're not good enough. And we're not doing that anymore. We are turning away from that in our mind, and it will not cleave to me. It will not even show up for me. So I don't have to worry about being, quote, protected, because nothing but perfection will be able to be in my midst because I'm purifying my mind. A froward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person. So a froward heart, again, the heart is the deep mind. A froward simply means malcontent. Being difficult. Being, the tendency that we all have sometimes when you say, oh, nothing's working for me, and somebody says, have you thought about blah, blah, blah? Oh, I tried that. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about anything. I don't want to hear about your stupid solutions. I'm just stuck, and there's nothing that anybody can do for me, and everything's ruined. That's a froward heart. And when you can purify that from your deep mind, those tendencies to look for every reason why nothing's good enough, nothing will ever work for you, why you have every reason to be upset, when that's purified from your deep mind, then you don't have any of those experiences anymore. And if those experiences come up, they're dissolved in an instant because you're not reacting to them anymore. I will not know a wicked person. Well, to know a wicked person in the physical means to know them in your heart, to know them in your deep mind. What is being wicked? Being wicked is simply the ego. It's simply believing that there's anything other than perfection available. The idea that anything that's not God's will can exist. There's this erroneous idea that rules the entire world, and that's that ego mind that we have that's very self-destructive, that believes that there could be anything that God doesn't will that we can make exist. So if God doesn't will it, it can't exist. But we have the freedom to believe anything we want to believe and to think anything we want to think. And if we don't take the time or the care to purify our deep minds of these false beliefs, then we get to experience those experiences based on those false beliefs, even though it's within the realm of this mass hallucination that we have here, this nightmare that we have here, this illusory experience that we all have here. But in God's mind, it's not happening. Therefore, it's not really happening. We just believe it's happening. We're just dreaming that it's happening. So I will not know a wicked person means that I'm not going to know something in the biblical sense. A lot of times people think of that as intercourse, knowing something in the biblical sense. You can think of it that way if you'd like, but it's on a much more subtle level than physical intercourse. It means I'm not going to join with those beliefs anymore. I'm not going to join with those wicked beliefs in my mind. Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. So to slander your neighbor in the physical realm, like if you're talking about, did you hear about so-and-so? Did you hear about such and such? And, gossiping and things like that, slandering. That is a reflection of what we do to ourselves. Anytime that we believe that we are less than perfect, we are committing slander against our neighbor. Because the only way that you can recognize something that's imperfect in somebody else is if you believe that it's there for you too. Because otherwise, if you don't hold any of those beliefs about yourself, when somebody acts out, when somebody has bad behavior, your immediate response, if you don't have an ego thought that aligns with that, your immediate response is nothing but wanting to help them. Your natural response when you don't have those ego thoughts is not to criticize them. It's not to judge them. It's not to harm them in any way. It's to help them, because you recognize that the reason why somebody's acting like that is because they're in pain. It's because they're in the throes of a nightmare. They're in the throes of this illusion, and they don't know what to do. Right? So the only time that we are slandering our neighbor is when we're in the throes of the very thing that we're slandering them about on some level or another. But if we've purified them from our deep mind, or our heart as it's called in the Psalms, our reaction to them is not the same. So if somebody's slandering us, we don't react to it in the same way any longer, because we understand that they're in pain, not somebody that needs to necessarily be destroyed. So this whole psalm is all about purifying these things from ourselves. That's how we get safe. That's how you're safe, is by purifying the cause of your vulnerability from your own deep mind. Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. So to privily slander somebody means that you're doing it in private. And so what are you doing in the privacy of your own mind? What are the things that you're thinking about your neighbor in your own mind? And you think that you have these private thoughts. You have these little private thoughts that you can think anything that you want about other people, and that it's not going to affect you. But that's what makes you vulnerable, are those thoughts. Those so-called evil, wicked thoughts are the things that make you vulnerable to the attack that you're trying to protect yourself from. Right? Your defensiveness comes from that. The reason why we get defensive about things is because we know that we are guilty of something. As soon as we purify the idea of guilt from our minds, we don't have that attraction to guilt anymore, then we have nothing to defend. Once you don't have anything to defend, there's nothing that can harm you, because you recognize that you and the infinite are one, and it's not the infinite's will that you be attacked, that you be vulnerable. So once you're in alignment with the infinite, then your protection is guaranteed, because there is nothing that can harm you. The only time that you're vulnerable is if you're playing in the dirt with them on some level in your mind. Him that hath an high look and a proud heart will I not suffer. So again, if you're seeing that in another and you're not purifying that in your own mind, then of course you need protection. Of course you're vulnerable. That's where the vulnerability starts. But if you can purify that in your own mind, immediately you are safe from that. Whether or not they purify it in their mind doesn't matter, because there's no place for that energy to take hold in you. So it just returns back onto them. There's nothing that you have to worry about. That's the secret to any kind of reversing spell. Anybody that wants to do a reversing a curse, you have to prove to yourself and to them that they can't harm you. And the only way that you can do that is by purifying those thoughts from your own mind, the ideas from your own mind, where it says, that hath an high look and a proud heart. What's a proud heart? We think that it means I'm so great, I'm so wonderful. It is. There is that. There are times when we are artificially arrogant like that. But really the ultimate arrogance is I'm vulnerable. I'm not good enough. I'm a speck of dust. I'm small. I'm little. I'm insignificant. That's the ego. That's arrogance. You're saying infinite intelligence created a perfectly powerful extension of itself as me, but I'm so powerful that I can take that and turn it into nothingness. That's the ultimate proud heart and high look. So if you are feeling vulnerable, if you're feeling less than, if you're feeling small, if you feel not good enough, all of those kinds of things, you have to recognize it as what it is. That's arrogance. And you don't have to know what to do with that, but you have to be willing to let it go. And when you work a psalm like this, the psalm itself is designed in such a way that those things can be removed from you, but you have to be willing for those things to be removed from you, those arrogant thoughts. So yes, of course, if you have false arrogance where you feel like you're better than other people, those kinds of things, yes, we want those to be removed as well. But always those kinds of arrogances are covering up the deeper arrogance, which is that I'm insignificant, I'm not good enough, I'm small, I'm vulnerable. Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land. Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me. Okay, now we're really talking about the dual nature of our own being. So you, as a conscious mind, are now taking it upon yourself to say that mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land. The land means your life. The land, just like in the emperor card, the emperor is you, and the empire is your life. So the land is your life. Every aspect, every possession, every relationship, everything that you're doing here in this incarnation, your conscious choice now, your eyes, is to be upon the faithful. So the faithful in this sense is that we are focusing the power of our faith on the infinite. And we know that the infinite's will for us is happiness. So if we can put all of our faith in that, the rest of it can be taken care of for us if we are willing, if this is the important part, if we are willing not to keep the other stuff. We don't have to know how to get rid of the other stuff, the ego, the fear, the vulnerability, all of that, all of the problems. We don't have to know how to get rid of it. All we have to do when we're working this psalm is say, I don't want to keep those things. The only thing that I want is that which God gives me. And God gives you what? Everything. Everything that's real, everything that's true, anything that you could possibly need, want, or have that would make you happy is already given you. So our job is to look at this and say, mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. That's all you want, is to dwell, is to have the understanding that God's will for you is happiness. That's the only thing you want to dwell with. Anything that doesn't look like that, you're willing to let go. He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me. So you can look at that in many different ways. You could think of he that walketh in a perfect way shall serve me being the inner guide, your inner teacher. And a lot of times when we have this relationship with our inner teacher, we don't understand that they are here to serve us, just like we are here to serve others. We don't a lot of times like the idea of being of service, because when we think of ourselves as being of service, we think very incorrectly that is a lowly place to be. No, I don't want to be served. I want to be the boss. But you see, any true boss is there to serve the employees, right? Any emperor is there to serve the empire. Any leader is there to serve whoever it is that they're leading. And so in order for you to learn how to serve others, you have to allow your inner guide to serve you. And he will serve you, or she will serve you. They will serve you because they do walk in a perfect way, because your inner guide is that voice for perfection that is always with you. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell within my house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in my sight. So we're just talking about, we are making choices here. We are making choices here about allowing ourselves to live in truth, and anything that doesn't look like truth, we're no longer tempted by. We turn away from those ego thoughts that are doing whatever it is that they're doing, because their ways are legion. Your ego's ways are legion. It'll come up with whatever it needs to in order to distract you from your good, in order to think poorly about yourself, in order to think poorly about other people, in order for you to feel vulnerable, in order for you to have constant barrages of seemingly unsolvable problems. That's the worker of deceit. That's your own ego mind. But it's not going to dwell with you anymore. And he that telleth lies shall not tarry in my sight. So what do you do with the ego? It's just like what you do with it. Like I was talking about it on a tarot reading, and I kind of like this symbol. It's just like what you do with commercials on TV. You ignore them. You don't buy into them. You don't get hooked by them. You even laugh at them sometimes. It's, oh, now they're going to tell me this. Okay. You don't make a big deal out of it. It's just a commercial. It's just noise. You don't pay any attention to it. That's the only thing that you have to do with the ego, is disregard it. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to conquer it. You don't have to do anything except for disregard it. I will early destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all wicked doers from the city of the Lord. So that's just, we're recognizing that this is our job. Our job is to destroy the wicked of the land. And how do you destroy the wicked of the land? Well, just like we said, by disregarding it. If you start fighting with it, then you're making it real. If you start fighting with it, you're saying, oh, the ego's a thing, and I am vulnerable, and I have to fight, and I hope I win. But when you recognize that the ego is nothing but a lie, what do you do with a lie? Disregard it. Disregard it and tell yourself the truth instead. That's how you destroy all the wicked of the land. And again, when it's of the land, that means that the effects of that thinking get destroyed as well. Those problems have to disappear because they have no substance left in them anymore. It's just the way of how creation works. Our minds have an idea. It projects that idea into physical reality on one level or another, and we interact with it. So if you're disregarding the evil of the wicked of the land, then your experiences start reflecting the truth instead of the wicked of the land, instead of those ego thoughts. That I may cut off all wicked doers from the city of the Lord. Now, the city of the Lord is the earth that the infinite created for you. That's where the infinite wants you to live. Not in the pseudo world that we live in, not in this dream world that we live in. The infinite wants you to live in a world where everything's permanently perfect and all your needs are always met in most wonderful ways. Everybody's happy. You see, but the ego wants to convince you that sounds boring. Doesn't that sound awful? All you do is just sit and do nothing? No. You have a constant creative expansion. Everything starts to really take off. Everything becomes fabulous when you start living in the city of the Lord. So you cut off all the wicked doers from the city of the Lord, And in a way, that's a misnomer. When you cut off the wicked doers, that's when you start to live in the city of the Lord. That's when you live in the city of the Lord. Before that, you're living in another kind of city. Most of us don't even know that there's a different kind of city to live in. We just think that, well, we just have to make the best of it here. No, we don't have to make the best of it. We get to transform it. We get to transform it from that into something that the infinite wants for us. And the only way that we have to worry about doing that is not by doing anything other than being unwilling to keep everything that is unlike perfection in our lives. Anything that is unlike perfection, we notice it and we are willing to let it go. And the rest of it's just taken care of for us through that willingness. And so when you're working a psalm like this, it's really helpful to just let these things sink deep into our consciousness and let go of the need to try to do anything about it. Just let it be done for us. Let it be done through us, and recognize that the infinite's already taken care of this for you, whatever this is. The infinite's already protecting you. The infinite's got this. But until we are willing and able to stop participating in the problem in our deep mind, there's only the infinite can't go against us. The infinite can't say, well, I've given you, free will. You have free will and you can think anything that you want to, but I'd rather you be happy. Therefore, you can't think like this anymore. Or if you do think like this, then cause and effect no longer works for you because you're special. All of that's just insanity. So if you're having experiences where you're feeling vulnerable, coming to this psalm is, yes, it's going to take care of that, but it takes care of that by you removing your investment in it from your deep mind and allowing your deep mind to be purified so that there is no longer any cause for you to feel vulnerable. So you just keep coming back to this same psalm again and again until you get a sense that everything is working out. You get a sense of peace and a sense of certainty about the situation. When you get the sense of peace and certainty, that means that your spell is cast. It's completely done, and you don't have to work on it anymore. In fact, it's better for you not to work on it anymore. Just forget it. It's out of your hands and move on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be. Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Does Ariel have a good lecture on allowing our good in? I don't know, maybe. I don't know. If you're on the Facebook group or on the Discord server, maybe you could come and ask that question again and we can look and see. Because I can't remember. I have too many lectures. I can't remember what they are. That's a good question. Can you suggest a way to counteract the thoughts of being less than perfect in real time? A way to catch our thoughts or words quickly? Well, you notice it by the way you feel. If you feel funky, then you know that there's a thought there. You don't have to micromanage it, though. All you have to do is notice the thought and say, I notice this thought. I notice this feeling. I notice this thought. I notice this feeling, and therefore there's a thought that is attached to that. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. I just notice that this is discord, and I don't want this discord. I want peace instead of this. And so I'm going to relax into this feeling and allow the infinite to purify it for me. All you have to do is not want to keep it. That's the only thing you're responsible for, is to not want to keep it, not hoarding those feelings anymore. But by micromanaging it or by thinking, I have to know what to do with this, it's a way that your ego keeps it alive. So just noticing it and relaxing into it and being aware of it and relaxing into it and knowing that that's not the will of the infinite for you, that will take care of it for you. Just relax into it. Relax. And a lot of times what I do is if I notice that discordant emotion, I stop labeling it. I just relax my body, relax my mind, and just feel the sensations of it. And just notice these are just sensations. These are energy patterns. I don't know what they mean. I don't care what they mean. But if I relax into it and I say, I don't want to hold on to this anymore, the infinite takes care of it for me. That's the only thing that I need to do. The only thing I need to do is make up my mind that I don't want it anymore. and the rest of it's taken care of for me in real time? Great question. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me. Ooh, we're late. I better get off here. Thank you so much to the amazing moderators, Honey, Pa, and Dre, and we'll see everybody over on the premiere. Blessed be.